didn't see it, but I was told about it, and what I was told was that they looked into the cave and they saw the devil.
This is the village, isn't it?
My God.
There's a devil in that cave, and he's up to no good with it.
Carl here from Brrraaains Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short, horror movie review time. And this isn't going to be a long one as I don't have loads to say about this, but I did want to cover it because it's a three-tale folk horror anthology called Rewilding, coming from writer and director Rick Rawlings and starring Natasha Nichols, Daniel Charles Dottley, Samantha Elizabeth Hudson and Stephanie Pamplona. The connecting tissue between these three stories is folk horror, set in the rural British countryside where three characters get caught up in the folklore of ancient lands and times. We're talking witches, cults, ghosts, cups of tea, being as it's in Britain, and a lot more. It is charmingly British and utilises the locales perfectly. If there's one thing I can say I really enjoyed about this movie, it is how it looks and the locations. Even more impressive when you're considering it is obviously a low budget effort. Alas, while it does look lovely, the actual meat of the anthology, the stories are lacking and don't always hold the attention as much as they should. The lack of a narrative that truly connects them all is unfortunate, as it felt like that could have been included. And the three stories, they all feel distinctly standalone, and none of them are particularly exciting or interesting enough to stand out. Of the three, the story about the cave is arguably the most atmospheric, whereas the story about the tree is arguably the dullest, whereas the story about the old-timey traditions and cult sits somewhere in the middle. It's also the one that feels like the most like a light homage to The Wicker Man, because I think that's going to be going through people's head throughout Rewilding. Alongside that, there is some extremely poor acting, and some of the dialogue is quite cringy. Issues that would be easier to overlook if it wasn't for the fact that Rewilding relies heavily on talking to tell its stories. There's not much in the way of action or actual visual horror. The focus here is on creating a sense of ominous, hidden and dangerous ancient threats. Things that are passed from all common knowledge but can be rediscovered within the land and through those that remain. People who are infected with the knowledge to some degree, passing it down through generations until it takes on a more fantastical life of its own. It is something that Rewilding does manage to get across, even if the promise is stronger more than the actual delivery. I'm on the fence about this one. I don't want to say it's a bad movie, even though I've highlighted bad things about it, but I also don't want to say it's a good movie. I could see more casual viewers being quite bored. I could see horror anthology fans like myself maybe not loving the lack of a connective tissue, even though some of the best anthologies had none of that, like Creepshow and so on. But Rewilding feels like it should have a connective story running through it, particularly as there was a point where I was like, is this set in the exact same location but different areas? And because we do see the odd character here that appear in another in the background and so on. So there is something there, but it's not enough. There's not enough of a feel of like, oh, this is bigger and grander than it is. As I said, the three stories are very wordy, are very talkative, and while I do really enjoy the idea of the lore and the mystery behind it, I wanted more than it. It's quite a short movie as well. It's not a very long one, so there probably could have been a bit more meat to the bones. I mean, there are some moments that are just downright bad. The going to the pub, getting lots of exposition. Often there's some of the worst acting in the entire movie. But I don't think it's terrible. I think visually, as I said already, it really, really stands out. I don't know. Maybe you can watch this one and frame your own thoughts. You like it, you don't, you know what to do. Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?